So now we're in the famous criminals versus wise guys arc. Mind you, in the beginning, wise guys, his intentions was never to really come at famous criminals. He only really came at famous criminals because John had put famous criminals and a couple other people that was in the community, they pinned them against wise guys, and that's what kind of made wise guys flip and want to go and start coming after famous criminals. But if famous criminals never really hit him up, even though he did the live, I don't think he would have really went too crazy on him. But him DMing him, which is what we're going to review, is what made wise guys kind of, you know, have a little change of heart. So basically in this first thread, which I'm going to put up, famous criminals basically presses Mike and calls him a scammer for, I guess, scamming children's sports. I guess I guess famous criminals is claiming that wise guys owns like a children's sports or was involved in children's sports and was like funneling money so that he can keep the money for himself. Some kind of, I'm gonna put up the clip, but it was something along those lines. He also went at wise guys claiming that the woman that he's with, or I guess his wife, is using her for insurance money, or I guess like, you know, he only got with her because he knows that she's old and has money for him or something like that. So wise guys was, you know, he had gotten pretty offended by that because I guess that's what people were also saying on the Zoom call as well. So for him, he's saying that that's cap. Famous Criminals also adds on that he feels that he only brought Enzo and J Wavy out to Colorado so that he can like grape them or touch them, if that makes sense. So wise guys, that was like another flame, and that kind of enraged him to want to talk back, which I'll put up his response. He basically says things like he wants to fight, you know, he clowns him a little bit. So after that response, Famous Criminals, he gets to roasting him some more, basically claiming that like, oh, you don't go to the gym, you're a fat you know, poop, basically, like a fat, I don't even want to say the word, but I'm gonna put it up so you guys can see and you can read it. He basically calls him a fat poop and how he doesn't go to the gym. And so that again kind of triggers wise guy. It doesn't trigger him, but it kind of, you're kind of like lying or capping on his name by saying how he goes to the gym. He claims that he doesn't go to the gym. He's saying that he owns a gym, I think an MMA boxing gym. Wise guys, he's mad, he's tight. He's texting Famous Criminals saying, you know, they could pull up and fight, you know, you're bringing his daughter into it, which I can understand because, you know, at the end of the day, she has nothing to do with Instagram Live. So he was saying, you want to fight, you're a tough guy, okay, cool, we could pull up and fight. You know, you're talking about my daughter, this, that, and the third. You know, you're just basically saying, you're basically tough over the internet or tough over Instagram. And then he also adds a little bit more of a response towards Famous Criminals stating that wise guys only is with his woman for, I guess, insurance money. So he basically goes in depth with the response. So during this conversation, Famous Criminals says, you were just fans of Enzo and J Wavy. Like you had no real business in flying them out. You just really only flew them out to kind of mask it as you're doing business, but you have other intentions. And this is where kind of wise guys shows what his intentions was the whole time getting into this Instagram Live community. And he basically states, Mike speaks on not being fans of nobody in the Instagram Live community. He talks about the only reason why he even got into this Instagram Live community was to expose them for the bad things that they used to do to the people who watch them, as well as what they do to each other. So his intentions wasn't to really befriend Enzo or befriend J Wavy or befriend John or anybody. His intentions was to solely infiltrate the community and then expose them for their wicked ways, basically, or their traitorous, or however you say that word, their traitorous way, to try to expose them for their wicked ways. And I'll talk a little deeper in Wise Guys' response to that. But what I will say for now is that Wise Guy saying that kind of messed him up a little bit, because if his goal was to expose, if his intention from the jump was to only expose everybody within the Instagram Live community, then what he would have done from the beginning, or what would have made more sense from the beginning, would be to sponsor as much people as you can, so that they feel more comfortable with you, so that you can get information out from them as well as get them to do things. So, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm definitely not saying that Wise Guys wasn't giving out sponsors to more than one person, and I'm definitely not saying that, you know, he just wasn't like he was definitely giving out sponsors, and at the end of the day, it's not nothing that like he has to do. You see what I'm saying? So, but what I'm saying is that if his goal from the jump was to say, you know what, like, let's just say he wanted to play God, and he said, you know what, I want to destroy this whole Instagram Live community. I don't care about nobody in this. Then what he would have done is that he would have done sponsors with everybody and like continuously paid them, but get information out of them as well as, you know, because if you kind of look at the lead up to everything, it didn't come across as though Wise Guys, like, his intention was to strictly destroy the whole Instagram Live community. It didn't come off like that. It more came off like he had a genuine like for certain people within the community, and then he wanted to sponsor them to help grow his business, or for whatever purposes that he, you know, may have had. And then after a while working with them, he seen that they were like faulty, and, you know, he started to see the ways, basically like the wicked ways. That's kind of what it more sounds like Wise Guys what was trying to do from the jump. It doesn't really kind of sound like he outright wanted to destroy everybody, because if that was the case, he would have like, and again, the reason why I say play God in the sense is because the allure of Wise Guys, or of Mike, was that he was a man with the bag, or he was the man that like had money. So, and to an extent you can say that's true, because we'll get into it later on, but the PayPal receipts will bring it up of how much money he was given. And that's why I said Mike himself, Wise Guys, is a great sponsor, because he really didn't have to do that. But right now we're talking on the intention. I'm not speaking on, this is what Wise Guys is supposed to do, or this is what, nah, I'm not saying like that. I'm more speaking in terms of the intention. Like, if Wise Guys is going to say, hey, my intention from the jump wasn't to be friends with nobody, I wanted to expose and give you guys the same treatment you was given to everybody else, then I would think, or somebody else who was watching the whole Instagram Live journey, you would think that, okay, it would be much more smarter for him to just give, like, every week give John, Enzo, Jitman, J-Wavy, the Island Boys, anybody who's in the Instagram Live community, even if they don't have a bunch of clout, because John doesn't really have a bunch of clout, but he's in the community because he knows some of the people. So if it's something along the lines of that, then it would make more sense, because everybody's getting a sponsor. You are the one that's tailoring it in a way, because mind you, they're gonna think, oh well, hey, Mike, he just wants to help us, but the whole time you have a trick behind your sleeve. If your intention was to dismantle them from the jump, and that's why I'm saying that I don't believe that that's what his intention. I believe his intention was like genuine, in the sense of, hey, like, I watch you guys. You know, you guys, some people in the community are kind of funny. You know what? Let me sponsor them, because I have my own purposes as to why I want to sponsor them, but I also want to sponsor them because I can and I have the money. So you know what? Let me do it. And then throughout time, he started seeing how things ended up and how things were. Then he kind of like started saying, you know what? Plan B. Let's blow up everything. So, which I understand to an extent, but I would say for this specific clip, I would say that Wise Guy, like, his intention was genuine, and then it turned. But if he's saying that his intentions was to dismantle from the jump, then it wouldn't make sense to own. And again, I'm not saying that, oh, this is what he's supposed to do, or this is how it has to go. No, but I'm thinking it from a business standpoint, or from a logical standpoint, it would make more sense to pay as much people as you can, and then script up your ways to kind of get them to not only beef with each other, but to give you information, so that way it's like you don't cross them up mentally without them really even noticing, because they're looking at it from the standpoint of, hey, you know, this guy's coming and he genuinely wants to sponsor us. But for instance, if, let's say, he's giving, let's say, Enzo or Jay Wavy the majority of his income is going towards them, or the majority of the sponsorship is going towards them. Again, from his intention of what he just told Famous Criminals, and from a business standpoint, him giving that amount of money to Enzo, or giving that amount of money to Jay Wavy, it doesn't really add up, because you have to look at the person individually themselves, and you have to also look at what your goal is. If your goal is to just simply spend your money on them because it's something about them that you like, so you want to spend it, and also you want to help them grow because they're chasing a dream, you know what it's like to chase a dream, that's one thing, that's cool, that that's not. But if you're coming with the intention, like how he texted Famous Criminals, and you're also coming with the intention of, let's just say you want to build a brand for the Wise Guys umbrella, or you want to build a brand for his son, then going the route of giving Enzo or Jay Wavy that money doesn't make sense, because they're not disciplined. They're not gonna go and pick up the camera and record. Enzo was supposed to do reactions with Wise Guys for a while. I mean, not Wise Guys. Yeah, with Wise Guys too, but he was also supposed to do reactions with Green Hat guy Mike. I think that's I think that's Matthew, my bad. Yeah, Mike, Matt. Green Hat guy Matt. He was supposed to do reactions with him. You know, Enzo or Jay Wavy, they only really they only will go live on Instagram and call it a day. They don't try and record their lives and post it up on YouTube, or record themselves and upload it on YouTube, or get in contact with the channels that are posting their live video clips, so they could branch out and see what kind of ideas they have for them for content, and they could incorporate them and help them. But they're not, Enzo and Jay Wavy are not thinking like that. They're more superficial. So you give them money, they're spending it on weed and clothes. They want Jay Wavy Wise Guys to take him to Claire's to get women jeans, and so he can act like a vampire and flirt with Wolf Girl, a little off Wolf Girl. Shout out to her, but that's what they want. They're not thinking like, oh, Enzo just, Wise Guy just gave me this money. That's why I could kind of commend John a little bit, because in the sense of he was more trying to show John like, hey, if you give me a sponsor, or if you do anything for me, just know that it's not, oh, you're just giving me money, or you're just giving me clothes. Like, he's genuinely just on some, hey, if you could, hey, this is what I want to buy. If you give it to me, I'm gonna buy it. I'll show you. Or hey, how much, just how much money to get this done. So what I'm trying to say, like, you're because if you're coming as a sponsor, you still want to try and find out just a little bit of information. So working with Enzo and John, working with Enzo and Wavy, and I'm not saying that, oh, you shouldn't have done that, that was a bad move, or I'm not saying that it was just useless all entirely. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that if he went a different route, there would have been a little bit more longevity, because by him working with people who genuinely want to work for themselves as well as help you, that will kind of keep the business and everything in a homeostasis, or in like a flow, like a dynamic that, like, I'm doing for you, you do it for me, and it's equaling out. There's no daddy, like sugar daddy games being played, like, oh, can you give me money for clothes, or oh, can you give me money for hotels, or oh, can you get, like, if you're giving, like, and then this is why, again, I don't blame Wise Guys or look at Wise Guys crazy, because if Wise Guys is giving you money, what are you doing with that money to where you don't have at least some of it saved to where you could pay for yourself for an Uber, or buy yourself some food, or get yourself clothes? You don't have to spend a whole $500 on clothes. You could spend $100 or $150 on clothes, and then save the rest. And when he gives you another sponsor, to take $200, purchase some equipment, then save more, and then try and build your credit. Like, there's other ways you could go about it instead of just wanting to flex for the gram. And I feel like that's what Mike, or Wise Guys, aka Wise Guys, is realized in the end. Like, and that's why he wants to destroy them, because he's more looking at it from a standpoint of, oh, they're just for the internet, they're just for show, they're not really go-getters, they don't really want to try and uplift themselves in a way. So that's basically the end for Famous Criminals. Wise Guys also talks about how he has a special plan, or something special planned for Jay Wavy and KENTSTREET, which we'll get right into. The battle between Famous Criminals and Wise Guys wasn't really as long as the battle between John or the battle between Jay Wavy. So there wasn't really much to really say about, or to review, concerning Famous Criminals versus Mike, aka Wise Guys. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put Famous Criminals, and I'm gonna put KENTSTREET in the same video. So it'll be KENTSTREET and Famous Criminals versus Mike, aka Wise Guys, you know, put it like that. So now we got Kent Street versus Wise Guys. After the whole battle with Famous Criminals, Wise Guys post clips or text messages between Wise Guys himself. I'm gonna start calling him Mike, because I'm pretty sure you guys know who Mike Wise Guys, same person. And I want to say Michael, but I feel like it's just to say the name is kind of like a little too, not long, I would say, but Mike, you know, it kind of gives it a little bit of a remembrance, you know, Michael, same thing, but shout out to Michael, shout out to Mike, shout out to Wise Guys, shout out to John, shout out to JWV, Jitman, everybody. But to get back into the video, so he shows text message threads between Wise Guys, shows Kent Street basically trying to get a sponsor or a way to work with him so that Wise Guys can pay Kent Street for his services. So basically Kent Street, he texts Mike to see if he can win some money, basically, which I'll put up the thread. He goes and asks Mike for $300 because his daughter wants to be he wants to put his daughter into sports, T-ball. And I'll speak more on where I would say Kent Street went wrong and where, you know, Wise Guys went wrong, if he did go wrong for this specific case. But matter of fact, I wouldn't say he really did wrong, but I'll speak on like more on what I spoke on the last video. So basically, Mike shows texts of Kent Street asking him if he can win some money or basically get sponsored by Mike himself. Kent Street wants Wise Guys to sponsor him or give him $300 so he could put his daughter into sports or T-ball practice. Kent Street goes on to talk about how his beef with Enzo started and how they fell out. And he continues to ask Wise Guys for more money so that he could get his daughter a phone with a case to go with it. Then Mike shows a text message of Kent Street basically asking him to send himself, Kent Street, $5, and then he will send it back. Kent Street will send it back. So he wants Mike to send Kent Street $5, and then Kent Street was going to take that $5 and send it right back. So Wise Guys puts up a clip of him doing it, I guess, like sending him the money, but Kent Street never sent back the $5. Clips. I'm also put in a PayPal receipt so you can see how much times Mike sent to Kent Street.